Well, welcome back to the Beyond the Arc show. We are live from Dock Stadium, and yes, they are open. They aren't closed. It looks beautiful inside. And I am your host, Brandon Hurley from the Jefferson Herald, and today we are joined by head boys basketball coach Chris Nelson. Before we begin, I'd like to thank our sponsors, of course, Dock Stadium, as well as Tech Zone and Moo Meat. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do this. We are now 2 weeks into the season, and the Rams are off to a 2-1 start. They led off the year with a 65-60 win over Gilbert December 1st. Then blew past Sadell 65-39 December 7th before suffering their first loss, a 72-62 defeat to current conference frontrunner PCM Friday, December 8th at home. The standout performer 3 games in the season so far is senior Wade Adcock. He's recorded back-to-back 20-point games while averaging 18.7 points per game, knocking down his shots at an incredible rate of 73.5%. So let's quickly, before we get going, kind of recap Friday's loss to PCM before, in case any of you weren't at the game on Friday. The Rams jumped out to a 23-14 lead after the first quarter, but then they kind of went a little bit cold after that. The next 2 frames, only scoring 18 points the next 16 minutes, but they still led 34-29 at the halftime break. But that's when the script flipped a little bit and PCM caught fire. The Mustangs overall drilled 11 three-pointers Friday, and they made 50% of their three-pointers, which is an incredible rate. And then they used a 19-0 second-half run to kind of turn a 4-point deficit into a 14-point advantage. And then the Rams were scoreless throughout a 5-minute span in the third period and were outscored 23-7 into the quarter. So that's kind of where the game kind of changed, and the Rams couldn't recover after that, and they continued to kind of miss shots and were cold. With the win, PCM stayed undefeated at 4-0 and 3-0 in the conference, and they are tied atop the Harville Conference standings with South Hamilton. So through 3 games, Greene County is averaging 64.7 points per game while shooting 46% from the field. The Rams' three-point shooting, a huge strength a year ago, kind of has struggled out of the gate this year. They were 2 of 19 against Sadell from 3 and 6 of 20 on Friday. So for the year, the Rams are only shooting 25% from 3. Compared to last year, they shot nearly 40% from 3, which was huge in their 14 wins. So kind of before we get going, let's kind of gravitate to Wade's performance in this last week. I mean, he's having an incredible year so far. He's averaging a double-double through 3 games. His shooting percentage is unbelievable, 73%. So what do you think has led to his success so far this year?
Well, he's playing very confidently. He's gotten stronger. He's really taken to heart, I think, what we've kind of preached on what he needed to do for this upcoming year to have a really good year. And he's done a really good job. I mean, he's been really aggressive. We probably need to get him the ball more. We lack sometimes in that. I think in that third period last game with PCM, if we get a few more touches, we might shoot a little bit better from the outside just because we're a little bit more set and maybe not force as much. But he's been outstanding and has ensured he's scoring almost 19 a game, which is great. The other big thing is he's doing it at a high rate efficiently, and then 2 is rebounding has been really, really good.
Yeah, his rebounding, he's averaging 11 rebounds a game. He's leading the league in that, and he's 5th in 2A, so he's having a remarkable start, and he's leading the conference in scoring, leading the conference in rebounds, as you said, and shooting percentage. So kind of comparing this year to last year, is there anything that you noticed different in his game that he's kind of been able to take the next step?
I think his positioning on the block's been better. He's more aggressive with it. Last year, I wouldn't say he was tentative, but maybe we didn't use him as much last year as what I would have liked. But when he gets it, he's being more decisive too with his moves. He's not waiting to see. He's not rushing anything either. He's being a little more patient in that area. And like I said, we're going to get him more touches because when a guy's shooting almost 3/4 of the time making his baskets, we got to give him the ball, or at least touches, because he's a good passer too, and I think that'll help some of our shooters get a little bit more in rhythm too, and maybe help us get a little bit more on track from the outside.
And sometimes at points, it looks like he's maybe your emotional leader out there too. When he kind of gets going, he gets fired up, and the crowd gets fired up. And do you think that trickles down to the rest of your team? They kind of get going too? I think so.
Wade he's one of our best leaders. He's kind of probably more of a lead by example than by vocally. But he's pretty even. I mean, he shows the excitement, which is great. And when he's not maybe having his best time out there. He's usually pretty even keel. He's not going to let it deteriorate kind of what he's already done. And some of our guys got to take notes of that probably more than the enthusiasm, because a lot of our guys play with enthusiasm and get excited, and you see a lot of pats and high fives to each other. But the negative side, that's where we've got to continue to keep getting a little bit better. When things aren't going our way, how do we respond? And right now we've got some guys frustrated, which is completely understandable. Shots maybe not going down, or some things aren't going their way. But how do we make up for that, and how do we make our team better when we're maybe not doing as well in a certain area? So
you mentioned the shots not falling. Is there a place that you can pinpoint why that's kind of the case? The last two games kind of fallen off, and it's been a big struggle for you guys.
It's really made from the outside. I mean, 3-pointers. If you look, we're shooting 46%, which is a little bit below last year, but that's still, last I looked, tops in our conference. So it's not like we're just bad shooting team. I mean, we've got to shoot much better from the outside. I think some of that's rhythm. 3-point shooting is a lot of rhythm. We haven't got as many paint touches as I would like. Either would be emphasis tonight at practice, get the ball away down there a little bit more, but also on the drive and kickouts. So right now we're trying to do too much off the dribble, and I think guys are not sure. Are they is he going to pass? Is he going to drive? So we're going to see. You'll see a few tweaks tomorrow on some offensive things, but not much, because like I said, we haven't shot real great from outside, and we're still almost scoring 65 a game. So I knew offensively it wasn't a major concern. We'll do some shooting and stuff tonight, but it's confidence. Sometimes it's just a matter of just seeing the ball go down too.
Yeah, and it's not like they're bad shots either. A lot of them are pretty good, nice shots. They look. Some of them are just barely missing,
right.
and it kind of, it's a factor of maybe starting a run. You're this close to starting a run or ending a run, but you missed it. And then against PCM, they kept scoring when you guys couldn't get going.
And like I said, third quarter, I thought we took good shots. I mean, there were some that we forced, but we had some layups. Like I'm still not sure how they didn't go in. And then to compound that, PCM comes down and gets scores. So that, I think, it put a little more pressure on us, and we tried to force a little bit more at the end of the third. That's where we've talked all year, talked all about last year. So that's why you got to be able to play good defense. And we just didn't play. It wasn't because weren't trying or lack of effort. It's just we got to play better defense, because we got to limit their shots, because they got some pretty easy ones too in that run. It wasn't like they ran the ball for 30 seconds and then made a shot. Like, it was straight drives and so forth. And sometimes when a team's hot, you got to start picking your poison. Do you take away the drive and give them the 3-point shot and hopefully recover in time to get there, or you run them off 3-point line and see if they can get drives and stuff. And we really didn't do a whole lot of either one for that third quarter. And we'll watch film on it tonight. And our kids are going to have to be thick-skinned, because we're going to get after them a little bit on that, because it's got to get better, because we have a good team. There's no doubt in my mind that we're a good team, and we can play with the PCM or the South Hamiltons and play with them and beat them, in my opinion. But if we don't get some things taken care of, my opinion will be just my opinion. It doesn't matter. So.
Yeah. So what do you think specifically are some things that you can do on the defensive side to kind of shore up those 3-pointers from the other teams?
I think the one thing, and that's a tough thing to teach, is you got to take it to heart. We've got to keep guys out of the lane. You got to know that there might be a chance you get beat, but our help side's got to be a little bit better. We didn't help off as well as I would have liked. And it's hard to, I don't know why we weren't. And even when we weren't helping off, they still were getting open shots on the outside. And they moved better than most teams the other two teams we've seen. But talking and just communicating, playing as a group of 5, I thought we got pretty individual on the defensive side as well, where we were, okay, I'm going to make sure I'm going to score. But then I'm so focused on that, I'm forgetting to help out. And like I said, we work on defense every day, and we're going to do it some more. And I think we need to mix it up probably a little bit more. I'm a huge man-to-man guy, but I don't think we may be quite there yet where we can go full games on good teams, man-to-man. We will probably do some tweaking and maybe throw a couple different zones in just to give different looks so teams can't get comfortable.
And coupled with the kind of so-so defenses was the fact that they had multiple guys making 3-pointers all night. They had 3 guys that made at least 3 3-pointers. So when that's happening, it's not a case of where you can just take one guy away.
Right.
It's just they just kept making it, and then you guys got far enough down where it was kind of difficult to make a comeback.
Yeah, I mean, they had some guy, the Thomas kid Jackson, who was only averaging like a little over 4. We knew he was a good player. He's a leading scorer coming in. He just was kind of off to a slow start, and our goal was to not let him get going on us. And And he did, and he just kind of got to the point where he's going to take it to the hoop because I think in his mind he felt like we couldn't stop him, and he was kind of right. And then they had a couple other kids step up and hit shots that score a little bit more than what they do, but that's part of the game, and props to them for making some big plays. And they were playing really confident. Like, they did not get rattled when we got up 23-14 or got a bigger lead. They just kept grinding, and that's something we've talked about a lot is, the good teams find ways to keep themselves in games regardless if it's going well or not. And we're not far off, but we've still got to keep learning that aspect.
Yeah, speaking about staying in games, I mean, I know it's early in the season, but this was kind of a case last year. You guys didn't come back from a lot of games. You led kind of wire to wire a lot. Yeah. So, and then kind of the same. It was only 3 games in, but the 2 games you've won, you kind of led the whole time. Mm-hmm. So, what kind of things can you do? I know it's hard to simulate coming back, but what kind of things can you do to kind of get that mindset and be able to come back?
We've got to get off to better third quarter starts. Even in our wins that we've had, our third quarter has been our weakest quarter, and I think some of that, like I said, when you have things like this, we got to make tweaks, and we'll do that as coaching staff. We're going to make them come out and work their butt off, come out of halftime, because I think we come out and we kind of give the kids the benefit of the doubt. We'll let them free shoot, get loosened up, and then we kind of nonchalantly, and then look what happens. So we're going to make them go, because I'm a guy that likes to warm up hard, and especially at the beginning of the game. And obviously that's not been a problem because we've gotten off to good starts. Mm-hmm. We did it last year. We've done it this year. But we're going to have to really get after maybe we're going to do some up and down halftime warm-ups, because I don't take a lot of time talking, and then we go over what we need to do and make our changes that we need, and then we go. So I think hopefully that'll help a little bit, and then we got to really continue to preach that we got to have a sense of urgency regardless if we're winning or not, because we had, we're up 5, we had opportunity, we had our chance to put them away, and we did not take that opportunity. So. Mm-hmm.
And one of the guys that I've noticed take another step in addition to Wade is Lance this year. He's got an all-around game this year. He's averaging double-digit scoring. He's averaging 5 rebounds, 4 assists. So what do you think has helped him kind of keep going and take that next step this year?
Well, he's put a lot of time and effort into it. He's worked on his game. His shot has gotten better. I'm not going to say it's the prettiest one out there, but he's gotten a good jump shot in the middle of the lane. His strength has gotten better. Playing much more confidently. I think he knew coming in his role was going to change now that we lost Trey Tucker and some other guys, so his role was going to be expanded. And he's talented. I mean, he's athletic. He's as skilled and gifted as anybody we have. But he's still got some things to work on, and partly mainly on the mental side of it. And he's gotten better, but we had a little bit of an issue on that on Friday night, and we had to take him out and let him recover a little bit, and he came in and made some plays. So he knows what we expect out of him, and he'll get better with that. But he's been off to a good start. He likes competing, and he really competes hard, and hopefully he continues to do that. And he just got to continue to find ways to be positive, and I think he'll do that.
So one of the guys that kind of takes your offense to the next level is Trey Hino, and after the first game, he scored 24 points, but the last 2 games, he's kind of struggled a little bit. So what do you think he can do and you guys can do in practice to kind of get him back on track and kind of help your offense get to where it can be?
Trey's a good player. Like, he is a good basketball player, and I think right now he's getting frustrated, and he's so focused on trying to make sure he can hit a jump shot. And obviously his calling right now is three-point shooting. He's a great three-point shooter, and he just had a bad week, and that's high school basketball. I mean, kids are going to have bad nights shooting. But I think, I talked to him a little bit about it. I think he's trying to put too much pressure on himself. He's got to realize we're different than last year's team. Like, we didn't have to have like a certain individual have to score points. Like, yes, we want Trey to score, because if he is, like you said, he creates a whole different offense for us, and he makes the floor spread open because people have to go out there and guard that, and he can also take to the hoop. But if it's not his night, we've got other options. I mean, we got Wade, we have Joe Towers, we have Lance, we have some other guys, Carter Morton, Ben Brevard, Jordan Pat, that can step. And I think he's wanting to just do so much so fast. I think he's trying to force some things. And, we, as a jump shooter, guy that used to be a guy that is a scorer, you got to find rhythm as a shooter. And he's got to move a little bit better on the offensive side. He's kind of floating right now. Which there's times for that, but I think there's other times he can find gaps without the ball, with the ball. And he did a little bit better job with that in the second half, but it can't because he's smart enough and a good enough player that he should do that regardless. It shouldn't be me having to tell him to do that, or Coach Morton, or another one of his teammates tell him. He just needs to read the defense and react to it a little bit better, and I think he'll be fine. The kid puts a ton of work in, and I think he just needs to relax. He needs to go and focus on the defensive side, make plays there, get maybe an easy steal, or get some good assists, some rebounds, and just kind of let the game come to him. I think he's just trying so hard, which is a very common thing that young guys can do.
Mm-hmm. And he can really get it going really quick. Mm-hmm. I know in the first game against Gilbert, he hit back threes, and just like that, the game was kind of teetering on the line, but he hit those, and and you guys retook control again. So he's a guy that really can turn a game just like that once he gets it going.
And Trey, I mean, like I said, he's a good shooter, but we don't want him to be a good shooter. We want him to be a good basketball player, and he is. He's just got to do it and think that way. And if his shot's going, great. If it's not, he's still making us a really good team because he's getting guys open off the dribble with passes, or he's getting stops because he can play defense, and he can play good defense. He just needs to make sure he does all the time, and he jumps well. He's physical. He can rebound. So if he can become that guy, which I know he can, regardless if his shot's falling or not, he's going to make us a better team, because even if it's not falling, teams are still going to guard him pretty tightly, so he can create a lot of offense for us without even putting the ball in the hoop.
Yeah, and you mentioned the depth that you have scoring. You have 4 guys averaging over 10 points, but I know it's only 3 games in the season, but there hasn't been a game yet where all 4 of them are in double figures.
Nope.
So what kind of potential do you see in this offense with having those 4 big scores?
If we're on, which we haven't quite been yet, we'll probably get all 4 of them in there. And, I don't know. It depends. And to me, you got to get who's hot. If it's Trey one night, we obviously want to find it. If it's Wade, or we got a combination, we got to work to get those guys open. And I think the more we do that, the better that will help our other guys relax and shoot on the offensive side as well. Like I said, we're going to do a little bit tweaking on offense, because I haven't really liked our movement as much as I'd like. We're getting a little too dribble happy and one-on-one, and the rest of the guys standing. And so we become easy to guard, and it's tough to score when guys are standing and watching, and defenses can help off easily. I think that's one of the reasons why PCM became pretty tough to guard for a little bit, is they went to a cutting offense, and we were having to move a lot, and then we'd get lost in some sort of the motion, and there'd be a guy wide open. And we want to do that. It's just a matter, we got to make ourselves do it, and we'll work on it tonight at practice.
So before we get looking ahead, 2 weeks into the season, what would you say kind of are your biggest takeaways so far?
I've liked that we've played pretty well as a team. Except for the PCM run, we've answered runs pretty well. We've gotten through 2 of our tests in the beginning game, a road game, obviously a big conference game. We didn't play poorly, but we know we have to play better, so it's a good learning experience. So I think we've done well as a team. Our rotation's starting to get figured out, and kids are playing hard. Our rebounding's been pretty good, because I know that was kind of a concern for us because we're not real big, but we're still a work in progress, but we've done a lot of good things, but we also know we still got a lot of ways to go.
So tomorrow night you're back home again. You host Roland Story, who's 2-3. They average 49 points a game. What kind are you expecting from them offensively, and what will you do to kind of stop them?
They're really similar to what we are. They like to drive and attack the hoop. They'll shoot threes. They shoot plenty of them. They're built very similar to us. They're not real tall. They're scrappy, and they love to push the tempo, which should play right in our hands because we're a team that likes to get up and down. But we've got to make stops. We've got to keep their guys out of the lane a little bit better and contest shots. And they're a motion offense, so we'll run some ball screens, but they want to do some dribble handoffs and really try to get to the lane and either create that way with shots there. That's where they've been more successful, is their kick out for threes, and they've got some guys that can shoot them, but they shoot at a high rate or a high volume of shots, so they're trying to get there. They haven't shot maybe as great a percentage as they probably like, but we've got to keep guys in front of us and make them work a little bit more on defense.
So on the flip side of that, what kind of defense do they run, and how are you going to attack that?
They mix up. They like to play a lot of 1-3-1, which we should be okay to handle. We'll work on that tonight. And they're aggressive with that, especially down in the corners and kind of on the sideline. And they kind of pick and choose. They know the matchups, so if you got a weaker guy on one side, they're going to attack that a little bit more. And they'll mix in the man too. Sometimes they'll go 1-3-1 on makes, and man they'll go misses. And like I said, they like to pressure in the half court, and they'll switch 5 screens because their tallest guys maybe 6'2", and the rest are about 5'11", 6 foot. Like, so basically the only difference between us is we have someone at 6'4", but they're very scrappy. They're going to play hard, and they like to mix up that defense, and they may run depending how we're shooting. They've been known to run a box and 1 or a triangle and 2, and they did that to us last year a bit. But the one team that's done it this year to us, Gilbert, we have fared with it pretty well, and we'll work on those things. But they like to give different looks on defense.
So what do you think is the key to victory to get back on track?
Well, we got defense is one. We've got to get stops. Our sense of urgency is another thing that we've got to get a little bit better with. I think our guys are really excited to get going again. I know they were very disappointed in how we fared on Friday, which I was as well, and they should be. But they know it's something they've got to learn from, and just to get playing in games, and we got to make the most of our opportunities and hopefully do that. But we've got to, for us, if we get paint touches tomorrow, a lot of them, I think offensively you're going to see us get maybe a little bit better rhythm, and then defensively, if we execute our defenses when we mix it up, and rebound, we should be okay. I'd like to hope anyway.
So then after that, you make the cool trip down to Des Moines to play at Wells Fargo, and you play North Polk Friday. What is it? 4:00? Is that when you?
3:34, whenever.
Okay, so yeah, so pretty cool opportunity for the basketball team. So kind of just going off that, what kind of effect does this have on the program to be able to go that and play a game like this in the middle of the season?
Well, to me, it's a really cool experience for the kids to get to go down and play Wells Fargo. I mean, you don't get to do that very often. I mean, I know I'm really excited because you don't get to coach down there a lot either. But the other big thing that we're going to really use it, if, like I said, we have a confident team even after getting beat. One of our goals, just like many teams, is to get to the state tournament. I think this is a really good test and kind of situation where it'll give us that taste of what it's like to be down there, and use that as momentum as the rest of the year rolls on. If we want to get down, we've tasted a little bit what it's like. If we really want to get down there, okay, here's our new objectives. What do we have to do to get there? So I think that'll be a good motivational piece.
So it's a different atmosphere. I know there might not be a ton of people there because it's still kind of a game, but it's in a big professional stadium on a different court. So what kind of things are you telling your kids and doing in practice to kind of temper their nerves and get them ready for this kind of different game?
We haven't really talked a whole lot about that aspect of it yet, just because we've been really concerned about Roland's story. But, I'm sure I'd be, if I was out there, the adrenaline's going to be running. You'd probably be jumping a little bit higher. And let me go. We just got to try to probably get through that first bit of energy and get to our second win, getting really excited. And North Polk's going to be the same way, I'm sure. And we just need to make sure that we play our game. The court is probably, obviously a little bit longer just because of the size, but in the open background shooting, we may have some ugly looking shots to start off with, but most teams will have that. But just kind of find a way to get ourselves relaxed, and the best way to do that is to really do it on the defensive side, play good defense, execute our offensive sets that we'll do early on, and I think once the game really gets going, the kids will be fine.
Well, do you think, you mentioned that shooting, do you think you'll go down a little bit early, try to get some more shots up to try to get, obviously you can't go too early because they're still school, but will you try to get more shots up than usual to kind of get them comfortable to that?
We'll see. I know we're going to get down there at least a good hour before the girls' game tips, so maybe if they allow us, we'll let the guys go on the floor and just kind of walk around a little bit, and maybe we got a couple balls, we'll let them shoot a little bit just to kind of get that feel of what it's going to be like out there. But other than that, no, we don't have a lot planned. Just got to go out and play our game, play it. Now it'll be on a 92-foot floor. Got to recognize where our actual three-point line is. We don't need to settle for the long ones.
Because I imagine as a shooter that probably gets in your head.
We've got a few that can shoot them, but we don't need to necessarily do it all the time. But just kind of, I'm hoping we can get down there, so at least walk on it a little bit and just kind of get that awness out of it about looking how big this is. And I'm sure we'll get a good crowd. I know people are excited about it, and obviously we are too. So
then after the game, they're treating you guys to a Wolves game. And I know you're going to probably let the guys enjoy that a little bit. But is that something that you're going to use as a teaching moment too, to be able to watch as a team, watch one of the higher levels of basketball?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a really good team. It's a good team bonding time. I know the kids were really excited about having that opportunity. They were asking before I even knew if we could or not. And so we got that, made sure that was a thing that was part of it, and it was. And it'll be really cool. Obviously, it will be much cooler if we win our ball game. But regardless, the experience playing it and then to watch that next 2 levels above where we are at playing on it, it'll be really kind of a cool experience. And if we got enough time, we might go out and find a restaurant or something, eat as a team, and then come back and watch the game. But it'll be really cool, and just to see, what all these guys have done, because that G League, it's a tough. I mean, they're really good players, and but yet they're still not quite good enough to be consistent in the NBA. But just to see them move and how they play, they're going to do a lot of similar things that we do, like from the fundamental point. But to let our kids see it, how they do it at a high level all the time, will be really good for us to see.
Yeah, and they've got some cool players on the team too. I saw that they have Melo Trimble on their team, so I'm excited to see him play in person, and then Wes Washburn on their team too. So
I know I've been meaning to look at the roster and see what they've got, but I knew that they had Melo and the Washburn kids, so our kids will know some of those guys too. So I think it'll be cool to really see that. I've not been to one of their games, and I'm excited for it as well.
Yeah, I think it'll be a cool experience. So I know this is looking farther ahead, but next week is a grind. You got 4 games in 5 days. So how important are these next 2 weeks for your schedule? I mean, that's got to be pretty tough to be able to play 4 games in 5 days leading up.
It is. I mean, our kids have been frustrated and upset and anxious to play in games, and we've had a little bit of time between, which that's part of the schedule. That's nothing we can do about it. So we shouldn't hear any more complaints with 4 games in 1 week. And luckily for us, 2 of them are at home, 2 are on the road, but they're good teams. It'll really show us where we are at going in the Christmas break. Obviously, to me, this week is really important because they're not must wins necessarily, but they're kind of, we need to win these games because it really helps.
They're winnable games too.
They're winnable
if you look at them on paper, it's
yes, and we need to get that for momentum going into that game because it's nice to play back-to-back and all that stuff, but if you're not playing well, it can get real frustrating because you don't have that time to try to fix and tweak things. So we need to get off to a good start this week, and then when we get those 4 games, hopefully we're playing well. We'll adjust each night and so forth. But our kids have got to be ready, and we'll probably see some guys step up, and there'll be some opportunities for some guys to do some good things.
So before we wrap this up, since we were talking about the G League and the next level of basketball, next 2 levels, kind of just to let fans get to know you, who would you say is your favorite NBA team?
NBA team, I don't really have an NBA team, which you'd think is kind of odd as a basketball coach and a basketball guy, but I kind of like players. I like guards a lot. Like in the NBA now, I kind of like those athletic guards. Russell Westbrook's a guy that comes to mind. That's kind of that athletic guy that can score. John Wall, Kyrie Irving, some of those, that type of player. Damian Lillard from the Trailblazers. Those guys are the guys I really like. Like all-time guys. I've always really liked Ray Allen because he's got like the best jumper ever, the smoothest jumper. Obviously, Michael Jordan is a huge one. Growing up when I did, he was the man and still is the man. He hadn't even played in a long time. But ultimately, probably my favorite player, and he wasn't much of it. I mean, he was is Fred Hoiberg at Iowa State. Obviously, I'm a big Cyclone fan, but there's a lot of Cyclone guys I really like. Justice Thigpen was another big one that I really, really liked, along with his running mate, Ron Bayless, and some of those guys, Dedrick Willoughby. I could go off on Iowa State guys for a while, but Cyclones, that's what I really follow. The NBA, like I said, I like those athletic scoring type guys that have got a little length, long wingspan, that I kind of follow a little bit more of those guys.
Are there any guys that you kind of try to have your guys try to not necessarily model their games by, but kind of take a few examples from them? Because you obviously don't want them to kind of go to the hero ball of NBA players, but
right.
There's got to be some things.
And we've got a lot of my guys, they do watch a lot of NBA, which is great. I tell them to watch more college because I'm more of a college guy. And I feel like you'll learn more from college than the NBA. because it's a whole different. It's not the one-on-one stuff.
Yeah, it's more fundamental. You got
but there's, just watch. I tell them, there's not necessarily a particular player to watch. But just watch how they play. When they, especially that's why I say the college, because when things aren't going well, how do those guys respond to those things, and how do they handle situations? But like I said, a lot of my guys watch basketball, and they play a lot of basketball video games as well, so they know these guys probably better than I do. But just watch, Russell Westbrook. Obviously, we have no one near that caliber of player, but he plays hard all the time. He goes hard, and that's like one of the things I would like my guards to be is they need to be more direct with the ball, like getting somewhere with it, because when he's going. He's going.
Yeah,
there's not stopping,
but you can't even stop him.
Trey Tucker was a little bit like that. Like when he got it, he was going somewhere. PCM the other night, when they got the ball, they were going somewhere, and that's hurt us. And we have those guys that can do it. It's just a matter, can they make themselves do it? So, and I think they will. Like I said, it's early, and our kids are very good at adapting to the things we ask them to do, and we'll be fine.
So you mentioned you like more of the college game a lot. So is there a program that you like your kids to kind of pay an eye to and pay attention to, how they're just kind of overall built?
I mean, obviously I'm a huge Cyclone fan, so I love the Cyclones. Loved them. Well, Johnny Orr, Tim Floyd, Eustace. Obviously, when Freddie was there, now Prom, who's done a great job. I like their athleticism. Probably the other team that I really like and I kind of go to more is Villanova, because they usually don't have a lot of big guys. They play a lot of 4-guard sets, which we do. One of our defenses is called Nova. So I like to watch them a lot. I also like Wichita State. I'm a mid-major guy after the Cyclones, because it's hard for me to cheer against a major D1 against Iowa State. But in Gonzaga, because they do it consistently every year, and they're showing that even if they may not get all the top recruits in the country, like they are competitive, like because they do all the small things all the time consistently, and they're making Final Fours now. They're getting Sweet 16s, and they're ranked highly, and teams don't want to play them anymore. And I think that's kind of one of the goals is we have is, like I said, we're not real big, we're guard oriented, but we want to be really consistent and keep doing the right things, small things all the time. And we want to be that nuisance. As we don't, we got to play Greene County. They do this all the time, and this and this. Hopefully we can get to that stage at some time.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense. Most of those teams don't necessarily have a lot of superstars, but outside of last year, I mean, you had Trey Tucker, who was a star, but this year your team is more kind of well balanced, and a lot of those teams that you mentioned are kind of a lot of guys that can do everything, and so it makes a lot of sense why you would kind of gravitate towards that.
And they've got really good coaches, but those coaches know what they have. They get their kids to play the way they want them to, and boy, they're fun to watch. And like I said, and then the Cyclones. I love watching the Cyclones. Been a huge fan all my life, and Prom's got them going in the right way, and I think they're just going to keep getting better and better because they're going to getting better players too.
I think so. Well, that pretty much does it all for us today. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks to Chris Nelson for joining me. And next week we'll be live from Tech Zone with Dean Lyons, Greene County girls coach. So, and before we wrap it up, the girls and boys have a doubleheader tomorrow night against Rolling Story. Starts at 6 p.m. So if you want to catch some basketball, go out there. Thanks a lot.